And I remember the amount of times I have had to walk outside and fucking burst into tears and lock myself out of the house or just do something and scream out on the fucking deck. I've hid myself in the pantry as well when she's on the door, Mummy, and I'm like, oh, he's getting some cookies. Oh, he's getting some cookies. And I'm like, hi guys, and welcome to Unscripted, real talk on real life. I'm your host, Sarah. I'm joined by the wonderful, beautiful Victoria. I like this, I'm like serving you up on a platter. Victoria. And the equally lovely, sexy, delicious Renate. So on today's podcast, we are talking about single parenting and what it is like, challenges, personal experiences that we have gone through ourselves. So this gorgeous human being to my right, Renate, who I just adore and I just take my hat off to her, has 5 amazing children, like absolutely incredible children. And she has been a beautiful single mama for 9 years.
Yeah. 9 years.
5 children. And they are
completely
amazing.
On my own with them. Their dad never has them. So yeah, I have them every day, every minute of the day.
And what are the ages? What are the ages?
Right now they're 18 down to 10.
So range. If you're having them every minute of the day, when do you get you time? When's your break time? Because I mean, we know we all need it, and whether it's a night with the grandparents or night with the dad, and if you don't have that support on the day-to-day anyway, where do you get your time?
Well, it's getting a bit easier now that they're older. So I've got my older children that can stay home and look after the younger ones. Mm-hmm. But basically my time is when I go training every day. And still the 2 younger ones come with me.
Wow.
And they play with the other kids that are at training. But that's my time when I'm inside in the boxing alley and I'm doing my
training. And you train every day, don't you? You love your training.
Serious MILF over here.
Isn't it funny?
Single!
Yes.
Put that out there, put that out there.
But that's the thing as well, even your training, because like, I mean, we all make excuses. I know I'm terrible for making excuses. I don't have time for exercise sometimes and training. I love running and I love going to the gym and I really do love it. And then quite often it's very easy for me to say, I just don't have the time, or I just don't prioritize that in my time.
It's about prioritizing.
Then again, you've just made me feel completely ridiculous because you go training every day, but you're taking your kids with you and finding something for them to do, so you can still get in that time to do that.
I'm lucky I can take them with me because I have, prior to my boxing training, been to gyms that I was interested in joining, but I couldn't bring my kids, so I couldn't join. So these people where I train are very, very good at sort of letting me and other people bring their kids so they can actually train as well.
Yeah. And and I think that's important because I remember when I had Monroe, I was thinking, 6 weeks after, I'm going to hit the gym again. Well,
6 weeks
I didn't. It's more been like 4 years. I've only just gone back into my training. But I also approach gyms. Do you have creches? No. Well, what do I do with my child? I wanted to go exercise, but so many places don't allow you to bring your children, like your normal gym, or it's more expensive if they've got a creche.
Could you imagine my 2? My kids would not. I couldn't just drop them in a creche. I mean, maybe now together. They're just a little bit more reserved and nervous. Like even sometimes my oldest is fine, but even sometimes now my littlest, she's been going to her preschool for how many years now? And some days I take her and she's just like, there's a mummy day. It's actually quite often I'll get Robert to take her because she doesn't bother with Robert. She's just, not that she doesn't bother with him, he kind of says, love you, have a nice day. And she's like, okay, bye. But with me, I think they play up for mums a lot more, don't they?
Of course they do.
So for me to just go drop her in a creche, she'd just be like, heck no, I'm coming with you.
Mm-hmm. I think also not without knowing them and, doing a lot of experimenting, dropping them off. But I found it really difficult, so I kind of gave up and then I tried doing it at home, but
it's not the same, is it?
I was just so exhausted all the time.
But then I've seen the video of what you've done as well, and it's like when Robert and I have tried to do home workouts, and you've got kids on your backs, and they're trying to do it with you, which is fine, but then you've got legs here, like saying you're like, what am I doing right now?
And it's harder to motivate yourself at home, I think. I like having somebody telling me to get off my ass and run around the blimmer room and, do things properly. I just can't do it, even through, when I couldn't go and I tried to do things online. I just couldn't motivate myself. I need somebody there with a whip to sort of just whip me into shape. So,
and I totally get that as well. Whereas now I have found Hannah, who I use, and she's just absolutely blinking amazing. Definitely have to get her on here one day. And she specialises with postpartum pregnancy. And, it's all about getting all the little bitty muscles together and not just pumping iron and that sort of stuff. And it's all floor work, all mat work.
After
you've done it with me, remember that once? You were freaking beside yourself.
Oh, I was.
She's like, oh my God, I'm tired. I'm like, move your leg.
She uses muscles in your body that you just forgot existed. Yeah. And, if your body's not used to it, it was the first one I had done with you. And it was going to take some practice. I was dying. And she was just like, hang in there, Vic. I was like, I can't.
And they are really hard. Like, I struggle. I've been with Hannah for, crikey, about 4 months now. And I can do it at home and I can, beat them throughout the day at home. It's like 15 minutes or 20-minute videos. But, I do. I take my hat off to you. Like,
thank you. I love it. It's my drug.
How long have you been training? Did you go into it straight after kids, or is this something that's grown over time? Because you've always been quite active, haven't you?
Yeah, I wasn't able to do anything straight after kids because of a situation I was in at my home. So basically, since I've become a single mum, I've sort of gone out there and tried to find what gels with me. So I think I started off with powerlifting.
Wow.
I did that, and I did a powerlifting competition.
Oh, of course you did. For goodness sake, with your 5 children.
Cool. She did. Her 5 kids, powerlifting, I trained, kickboxing, all this stuff.
And then I decided that wasn't for me, so I did a bodybuilding competition, and I wanted to get into shape for that, and I did that. But it wasn't for me. I didn't enjoy that. And then I found, the MMA and boxing, and that's just completely my thing.
Well, your body's so fine.
Oh, I know.
Legs on her, like these my sexy legs. Like seriously, I love that.
Making me blush, Sarah.
That's the thing, though, isn't it? After you go through a separation and that you've had children, you do go through that process and that journey of finding yourself again and who you are in your own rights and your own independence, and what thoughts are yours and what do you enjoy doing and where do you want to spend your time now? Because your time's now, it's not yours, it's with your family, but you get to choose where those moments are spent. And it is quite a journey, isn't it? It is definitely a journey.
Because you're 2 little poppets who I just adore, my little angels, 5
and 4. There's only 13 months between them. Yeah. It's quite funny when people say that, though, because whenever I say there's 13 months between them, everyone's like, oh, my gosh. But in the beginning, it was very, very challenging, extremely challenging, because it's almost like the only way I can sort of compare it is thinking of having twins, but both on very different schedules with very different needs.
Yeah.
So it's not like you do, it was different sleep schedules. Like I just didn't sleep for the first 2 years. But whereas now they're so close in age, they've got the same interests, they've got, same friends and everyone plays. And, I've got friends now that have, the older child and a toddler and a newborn. And it's trying to do that one-on-one play with your toddler while seeing to the newborn's needs, whilst entertaining the older child. And it's such a juggle. Whereas mine, it's all, off you go, play. Mama's doing dishes, and it's quite nice. And I remember it being a real relief when I got to that stage where it was like, girls go play while mummy does the dishes, and being left alone to do the dishes. It was like, this is wonderful.
It's those little things. It's like, seriously, there is no privacy. You don't really have peace. Like I have one, so it's just me. The pressure is just me. She has no one else to play with but me. So the pressure is quite intense, and we have
demanding,
very, very demanding. Yeah. No matter what I am doing, she is right there, right with me, watching everything, investigating everything. And I'm like, could be like dying of exhaustion. Oh, mummy's so tired, darling. Mummy's so tired. She goes, can you come play with me, mummy? And play Barbies. I can't stand. I hate fake play, that imaginary play, let's play with Barbie stuff. I feel like such a bad mum, but I hate it so much. I just grip my teeth and I'm like,
But you do it anyway for her.
Dolly's tired. Dolly wants to go to sleep too. I'd rather paint and draw and do crafty things and that sort of stuff.
I'm like you with that. I like the crafty things. I like sitting and we'll do like little science experiments and drawing and all that kind of thing. I love doing that, but I'm the same, sort of trying to do the Barbie play. But I tell you who's really good at it. Robert.
The men. Yeah, the men
seem to be amazing at it. Like Robert will go and sit with them for ages. They'll be like, Robert, will you play Barbies? And he's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And he'll sit down for ages and, they tell him off because he doesn't speak right. And, you can hear these, Robert, you can't speak like that. No, don't speak like that, because he'll try and put like a female voice on for Barbie and they're like, that doesn't sound right. And, he gets bossed around that way. But it's kind of a nice balance to be able to do that. And it's shared.
And the men play with them longer too, don't they? When it comes to that imaginary play, like Monroe's father's the same, And I love it. I'm taking photos of my brilliant 25th present, 21st photos and stuff. But it is really cute. It's nice seeing that bond of, men coming down and playing with little Barbie dolls and little girls and little babies and stuff. I love that. I think it is really sweet. But that was kind of makes me think of another thing. With men and how men will take the kids for a walk or men will take the kids for a coffee or for lunch.
Yeah.
Everybody praises the crab. Oh my God, you're so amazing. What an amazing dad. You do this, you do that. You know what I mean? And then the woman, when we do stuff like that, well, where's our thank you? Where's our praise? Oh my gosh, you're such a great mum.
You took the girls out for a coffee today. I'm so this amazing girl. Yeah. It's like...
Or I post some photos, and the men post photos with their children or something like that, and it's this big, she's just such an amazing daddy.
Why is that?
And you know what? It's a bloody good question.
Do we not expect that from fathers?
I really have no idea. It would be actually very interesting because you do see it though, don't you? There is that
definitely, now you mention it.
Divided thing.
Very
like
obvious,
a man can spend half an hour a week with his child and he's the best fucking dad in the world.
Yeah.
But the mums, we're teaching our children values, morals, how to use knives and forks and how to go to the bathroom, wash themselves and brush their teeth and brush their hair and take care of themselves and feed them.
But it's expected, isn't it?
Isn't it?
Yeah.
But
we need to do some investigating.
In saying that as well, Robert being a stepfather, he does all those things, but I absolutely praise it because it's,
because he doesn't have to.
It's a choice for him. This is a choice for him. Yeah. So he does it because he loves them and wants to spend that time with him.
Because he loves you.
And I want to, I personally like to congratulate and champion him in those efforts,
Because Robert doesn't have his own children yet. I know he's loving to, wants to. Because Robert came from bachelorhood.
Very much so, Mr. Bachelor.
Yeah, living on his own bachelor pad and dating and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, his time was his own, his money was his own. He's been quite successful. So he's been able to really live the life for some time. Then all of a sudden, ping, here we come. And overnight, it's almost like husband, two kids.
Family,
yeah.
And he was like, whoa.
But he's embraced it, was a lot. He's embraced it by the looks of it.
Honestly, he has to have, I have to give him credit. It was a huge adjustment. But we've really put the work in. And the one thing I have to say, even though our relationship has always had its challenges, the one thing I just have to say I can never fault him on is about the girls. No matter what, he has always really prioritised the girls. And even, there's been times when we thought it's not worked and we've gone on breaks and whatnot. And even through that period, he was still always putting the girls first, thinking how they were going to feel about things, talking to them. And, we would never really tell them what was going on. But if he wasn't around so much, he would call them or send them videos and he would pop over to see them with little gifts and spend some time with them. Him and I would be like, at each other, but he'd still come around and sit and do puzzles with the kids for a while and tell them he loves them. And, and he's always really put those girls first in that, which has been really special.
And you know what? And that's actually really cool because he is an amazing stepfather. I mean, I'm around you I practically live at your house.
I know, you're wifey, aren't you?
He's got the other wife that don't have to do the
Rob
duties.
has a couple of wives, doesn't he?
I just don't have to do anything. But apparently that's what marriage is like from what I hear. But anyways, but I do, we spend so much time together. So I see a lot of it. And he's very amazing. And
Yes.
For a man to come in to be that you trust around your children. That's what I have a massive thing with trust with men coming into my life, whether it's letting you down or coming in and just not being the right person, the right role model for a daughter.
Yeah.
Because it's very different if you've got daughters and sons. I mean, you've got both. You've got daughters and sons.
Yeah.
And I have one daughter and I'm so protective over the man who I want to be around her, who I want to be somebody who she's going to look up to and go, you know, and he's a positive influence and he speaks nicely to me and he's respectful and he's got good morals and
set the standards for what she will look for in the future.
Well, we took that really slow in the beginning. We took that with the girls, and I think when we really knew this was going to be something, I wanted to introduce him because my children were quite wary of men anyway. Not dating, so I wasn't really dating anyone around them or anything like that.
Yeah, you keep it private.
But when, you know, we knew it was something, I didn't introduce him as full on, this is now Mummy's partner. I think that's quite overwhelming for people, for children. It was a slow progress of this is Mummy's friend, and introduced him as a friend of ours. Yeah. And he would spend that time investing in them as well and building that friendship and that trust and that relationship. And it wasn't until they were really comfortable with him, just like our other male friends, that we were able to then introduce him that he is something a little more as that relationship progressed.
I think it's really wise. I think it's very, very wise because there's nothing worse than people who bring men constantly in your children, different men.
And that's quite
their relationships. Men or women. Men or women. You're right. You know, I mean, how confusing for children. You know, they just get used to somebody, and then next minute they're gone. Well, where have they gone?
Yeah. And what's that teaching them as well? What's that teaching their emotions and you know?
I think I'd keep everything very, very private, and until I was 100% serious about somebody, I would probably do the same as what you've done. Meet them, you know, somewhere at a park or coffee.
And there was no affection.
Just do that sort of
you know, as well, there was no sort of physical. There's no affection in front of them or anything like that until they were comfortable, and that would start slowly seeping in. You know, after the time. But it was like we just didn't want to put them in a position where it was concerning for them or worried them or confusing. Yeah. But Renate, how do your children? Because you've been dating a little bit, haven't you? Like, how do your children feel about that?
Oh, that's hard. Like, I think the first time I ever dated somebody, which was probably about 3 years after I became a single mum, it sort of went well, but it was really, really tough for them because they had been used to just having me around. And, you know, I also just invited this person over as a friend and so they could get to know him, but they could sense the energy between us. I mean, they were at an age where, you know, kids are not silly. They pick up on stuff. Yeah. And they became quite sort of, not insecure, but very protective over me, but mainly worried because of you know, the relationship with their father, how that ended and what I went through and what they went through. They didn't know that there was other people out there that wouldn't do that. So automatically they would get really worried. And man, we've had like my daughter would run away if this person would come around. It's just sort of like they just went into a defensive survival mode, you know, just being really confused and not knowing what's going on.
And how did the other person respond to your kids behaving that way?
This particular one was actually really good and very understanding and sort of gave it time.
Wow,
but
that's awesome.
My kids didn't realise that, you know, I was dating, but they sensed there was something going on. Yeah. So I just ended up just saying, you know, I don't think my kids are ready. So I kind of.
Is that why it ended?
Yeah.
Oh. But isn't the sacrifices that parents make, you know?
Sacrifices, you know?
That we make for our children to make sure that our children are okay. And say, God, I fucking love you. No. I do. I think you're just so amazing. You really are. You're just an incredible mum. And your children, oh my God.
Beautiful.
They're just.
Oh my gosh, beautiful.
So well behaved. Like, how did you get 5 well-behaved, respectful, polite, well-mannered children? Like every time you go there, it's hugs and they all come up and say hello. And I mean, shit.
Especially your 10, isn't he? Yeah. 10-year-old boy. Just to come into the house and give you a hug. It's like normally boys are just like,
Yeah.
No. But he came up and he actually gives you a proper hug and embraces you and then, you know, thank you for having us and gives you a hug, say goodbye. And I'm just like, oh.
My 17 and 16-year-olds still do as well. They just love, I've just brought them up, you know, like that's what I've worked really hard on in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Is to bring that back in, to know, to sort of have them know that that's normal. To have that intimacy and touch and love and that communicate that way, because it wasn't allowed
Before.
First parts of their life. Yeah.
Fuck, you've done phenomenal. You really have. I think you're amazing. I just hope my one will be the same. But Moni is actually. Monroe's very...
she's gorgeous.
She's very affectionate. She's got great manners.
Moni's gorgeous.
Oh.
She's a tough cookie.
She is a tough little thing,
with Moni,
isn't
she's amazing. It's so funny. She's so tough. Like if she hurts herself, and sometimes you think, oh my God, this is a bad one. This is a bad one. She bounces back up. She's like, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah.
But if she thinks she's hurt someone's feelings, end of the world. Tears like breaks down, but it's because she thinks she's upset someone. If she thinks she's upset someone, tears galore, has a massive fall and lands head first or face plants.
And she's absolutely fine. But she is like that. She's very she's very empathetic, and she can pick up on people's energies. And if somebody's upset, or if somebody says, oh, I don't like what you did, or if I'm upset with her and I'm like, Mummy I don't like what you did, I don't appreciate the way you spoke to me, or something like that. Oh, it is hysteria. It is meltdown. It is run to her room of embarrassment. And then she'll always come down and then she gives me a big hug. Mummy, I'm so sorry. I love you so much, Mummy. And all day we have this thing where we just go, hey, Moni. She's like, yeah, Mum. And I'm like, I love you. She goes, I knew you were going to say that. And then she goes, hey, Mummy. And I'm like, what? She's like, I love you, Mummy. And I'm like, I knew you were going to say that. And then she'll just run up and just give me a hug randomly out of the blue, telling me.
She's very affectionate, Moni.
Very. And you know
Very
her new
affectionate.
thing? She comes up and she's like, Mummy, I just want to tell you how much I love you and how much I just want to say thank you for looking after me and taking such good care of me. I'm like, oh, my eyes are watering. Oh, my God, I love you so much, child. You know, but we do have a very affectionate,
Well,
very
it's been
relationship.
just you and Moni for a long time, though, as well, hasn't it? Like, how long has it been just you and Moni?
Well, her father and I broke up when she was 5 months old. He's always been around and he always has been involved in her life. And we've always had that relationship where he can come over whenever he wants and, you know, and hang out with her and that sort of stuff. And they go on day trips together and he takes her out. They've got a really good relationship.
It's a great relationship.
They really do.
Have.
She's very lucky.
And she is, because a lot of men don't want anything to do with their children. A lot of men and women, actually. I shouldn't say it's just because I'm quite flabbergasted how many women
I can't get my
are
head
prepared
around it.
to walk away from their children. Like that blows my skull. So I'm not just directing at men, but there are a lot of men that do walk away from their children, and her father is not one of those, trust me, at all. And I've never stopped him from seeing her. He can come and see her whenever he wants. I mean, he's got his days, and in between those days, we'll come and see her as well. Yeah. And she loves her daddy.
It's so funny, though, how the different dynamics are. So you're completely on your own. You don't have any support. No. You have the fact that Ali is within Moni's life, and you guys can communicate, and you guys can even go out for a day together and stuff, and things are very comfortable.
Family days, absolutely.
I'm in the position that their father is in their lives, and he loves the girls, and the girls love him, and they have a great relationship. But mine and his relationship is still not in a good place. You know, our communication struggles, and we're getting better. We're getting there. I think it just takes time. But, you know, he is there and he is around, but we don't communicate. Like, we don't even see each other at all. So we have to sort of, we communicate
drop off with
I do drop off with their grandmother on his side, and a lot of communication's done through her. But like I say, it's picking up, it's getting better. But it's so interesting, all the different dynamics on how that is.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, like there's so many expectations out there, I think, on single parents as well. And then you take that and you compare it to reality. You know, there's just a lot that we can't.
Oh, it's so much harder on your own. I mean, we've had discussions in the past where it's like you can't actually parent the way you want to parent when it's just yourself sometimes, because you've got so many factors going on. You've got, especially you having 5. I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you do it. But sometimes you just don't have the energy or the time, or you're spread so thin over everything you've got to get done.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can't always just be a certain way. You can't. You just physically can't. And then you feel guilt, and then you hold that mum guilt that we all
oh my God,
have.
the guilt is
Mum guilt.
Isn't it? It's awful. Because you want to be able to do everything that your child wants you to do, even from when they're babies and what their needs are. And I remember the amount of times I have had to walk outside and fucking burst into tears and lock myself out of the house or just do something and scream out on the fucking deck. I've hid myself in the pantry as well when she's on the door, Mummy, and I'm like, oh, he's getting some cookies. Mummy's getting some cookies. And I'm like,
I've done that.
you know, like hysterical, like just crying.
Locked myself in the room. I'll be like,
it's
Mummy,
just-
out in a minute. And I've just been like bawling my eyes out. Or I've had to go and like put the TV on, just watch anything for now. And I'll just go in the room and I like sit on the floor and sob. I'm just like, I can't. And you're hysterically and then knocking on the door, but you don't want them to see you crying.
But
you know,
but why? Because I've learned that I used to hide that as well. But I've learned that as they got older, maybe it's because they got older, that it's okay for them to see you cry. It's okay for them to see when you've reached that limit.
Yeah.
And, you know, they've played a part in it perhaps, and that you're upset. And you've got to just share that with them, because then it will show them how you deal with it, but then also take accountability for anything that they might have done or said to get you there. And then they'll try harder next time not to do that.
I love that. I do love that. The only thing for me with that is if they were older, I think that's really beautiful. I think just with mine, if they see me cry, they get very panicked. Like if they see me cry because I'm upset, like they sense when I'm upset, and they, you know, they'll come and, especially my eldest, she's very perceptive, and she'll come over and she'll be like, "Is everything okay, Mummy? You okay?" And she's only 5, and I said, "Yeah, Mummy just feels sad sometimes. You know, something's happened and it's made Mummy feel sad." And I think that's okay to discuss with them. But when it's because things are getting so overwhelming, and it's not even something that they've necessarily done. It's just they don't understand the fact that you've got that, and then sometimes you're just like, and it's too much. And if it was just that, I would have probably handled it different. I would have been a lot calmer. But when we go into being so overwhelmed, and then I get upset, the last thing I want to put on my children is them feeling responsible for me having that sort of reaction.
Yeah, fair enough.
Without the maturity to understand that it's not just that one thing. There's so many other things going on, and I think that's just an age thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I don't cry a lot, but recently, well, it was a couple of months ago, I had a very, very bad day. And I came over to Vic, so I was like, "Oh, Vic, I need you." And I had Monty with me, and because, you know, the children played together, and I didn't want Monroe to see me so upset. And because she was asking, "Mummy, why are you crying?" I was like, "Mummy's just feeling very sad." And so we came over here and the kids played and that sort of stuff. But Monroe would just constantly keep coming in and checking on me. Well, didn't she?
She did.
Giving me
She's
hugs.
quite concerned. She's quite concerned.
And feeding me chocolate.
She
Mummy,
was.
here. And she
knows
was.
the answer.
She knows. Chocolate makes everything feel so good. You know, and she would just come in and then she'd go, "Mummy, you're okay," and give me a cuddle. "I love you so much." And then she would give me chocolate and then she would go away and play. And that was repeated throughout the whole day.
She gave you chocolate and she took a bit and then off
Oh, yeah. Oh, exactly. She always have her stuff a little bit, yeah. But it was just, and like I said, I'm not a person that cries a lot. I mean, she makes me cry. Like if she comes up to me and she's really emotional to me, like telling me how much she loves me and how much she appreciates me, I cry. Yeah. She goes, "What?" And I'm like, "You make Mummy so happy." These are happy tears. These are like, "Oh my God, you're so amazing."
I've had to explain that to the kids recently as well.
different
They did
types
something and I started crying, and I saw the looks on their faces like, "Was this wrong?" And I'm like, "No, I do explain. Sometimes happiness and love can also make tears, and have that conversation as well."
Sometimes you just look at them and look at their beautiful little faces and go, "Fuck, we're amazing. We've made them." And then you get emotional and start crying. It's like, "What the fuck is this shit?"
I mainly do it when they're asleep. I mainly do it when they're asleep, you know, and it's, especially after a hard day or whatever, and then you put them down to sleep and you just look at them and they're so angelic and they're so peaceful, and you're just like, "I made that. I grew that. I made that. And you're so perfect."
We made it.
And then they wake up and they're like, "Ah," and you're like, "Oh gosh, I made that."
Yeah, they're bad parts. It's like, "Oh, that's not my side of the family."
Yeah.
That is not my. I'm not taking ownership of that side. Thank you. I'll take the good parts. We'll take the good part.
When everyone's like, "Oh, see where she gets it," and I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah, whoops.
Another thing I get a lot is when people find out I have 5 kids, they say, "Oh, you don't look like you have 5 kids," and I'm like, "Well, what am I supposed to look like?"
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I'm in her boat.
Yeah, but
I'm guilty.
She's just so fucking hot.
You are just.
it's just crazy. Or the other question is, all to the same dad, and I hate that question so much.
And yes, they are all to the same dad.
Yeah,
actually,
hello.
yes.
But I understand why,
But you're
because there
right.
are a lot of people that have a lot of kids to different partners.
But I'm not being funny. Like, even if someone has children to different fathers, is that really an appropriate question to ask someone about their family dynamic?
Yeah, I don't actually.
These are my children, and down the line, and as you grow sort of relationships with people, you're happy to share the dynamics.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, when you meet someone, oh my God, you've had 5 kids. Are they to the same father? I'm like, none of your business, actually. It's really quite rude.
Yeah, but it's like they're already judging you without
100%.
knowing you or your situation.
But also, it's like the pressure to look a certain way and be a certain thing, because mothers have got to be fucking perfect. You got to be a size 8 to 10. You've got to have your hair and makeup done. Your skin's got to be flawless. Your house has got to be spotless. You've got to wear your fucking stilettos, and you've got to be this most wonderful couple. Yes, darling. Yes, dear. Yes, dear. And it's like, it is a massive expectation on. I am directing this at women to look a certain way when you've had a kid. Because I get this, gosh, you look good for 40 and for having a kid. I'm like, well, I've only had one, thank fuck.
Well, everyone.
And I'm still struggling, I'm nowhere near where I want to be, because my God, I spent 4 years of not exercising.
You don't. This is the same thing as Renate.
Thank God for fucking Botox.
We say that to Renate, but everyone says that to you. When you say, I'm 40, everyone's like,
Yeah.
But I'm the same. I still get ID. I cannot buy wine in the supermarket if I forgot my ID. Even if I've got the kids with me and I look like a complete fraggle and I'm, shopping with the kids. And there's been times even when Robert's been with me and they've been like, she's not got her ID. We're not serving you. He's like, mate, I'm here with my family. And I get that all the time, that I look a lot younger.
But why is it that we have to be a certain way? Why is it that we have to look a certain way? I mean, I know for myself, I've always, no matter what, the pressure is my own. Like, I put on myself to look a certain way. I remember breastfeeding one row. There was not one fucking day that I ever spent in my pajamas or a tracksuit set.
No,
Every day.
I did. Sorry.
I know you.
I did not dress up at all for about a year.
Yeah. But
makeup
for
for a
me,
year. Didn't
it was
get my hair
really
done for a year.
important. I did my makeup. I'd be sitting on the bathroom floor, hanging over with my breast in Monroe's mouth, literally, doing my makeup.
Why?
And doing because it's me. It's something that ever since I have been young, I've always done my hair. If I'm staying at home for the day, I'll still do my hair and makeup and put clothes on. I'm not lounging around in no pajamas,
isn't it
honey. Because what if
funny?
somebody comes to the door, or what if I've got to go out? Then I'm like, now I've got
I'm the
to
opposite. I don't wear makeup, and
neither.
like I'll do my hair. It's not like sticking up or anything, and I'll wear what I'm comfortable in, and I don't care if anybody comes to the door, and I'll go to the shop.
But
like
it's
that.
funny
Oh,
because
no,
I think
I'm just so not.
I think people
Mine's my own
get
pressure.
judged either way. So either you're someone who hasn't made an effort.
You're really good at doing the whole bag lady though, aren't you? Because Victoria is like glamour model, and then you'll see next day and it'll be literally like
A different person.
Honey, what happened? Sweetie, we have a rough night, darling.
No, this is how I look.
I don't. But I love it because she is so glam, and then just so not the other day. Sometimes I'm like,
So the
I
other
love
way.
it.
Most times, like, honestly, and when I get home at night, it's, during the day, as soon as I'm home and I know I've got nowhere else to be, it's bra off, in the shower, shake out the hair, back it goes, no makeup.
And then there can be the
pants
trackies,
on,
yes.
Robert's jumper or hoodie, or, I just get, slippers on. But whereas but that would, for some people, it's like, oh, she doesn't make the effort. Does she not have time to make the effort? Is she not balancing life well enough? Can she not put the effort in? Is she finding it too overwhelming parenting to be able to make an effort?
Who are they to say that though?
Or why are you making the effort? Either way you're judged. Why are you making the effort? Why does it matter?
Yeah.
Have you not got better things to be doing than doing your face in the mornings?
I
Not
don't
the
know.
things you should be doing.
Well, the thing is, I know where my face is. It takes me like 30 seconds to
Yeah, face
literally.
doesn't take long. Makeup doesn't take long.
And I do not take time and care. It's just slap it on. I know where my face is. I don't need a fucking mirror. I just do it. You know, but that's for me because that makes me feel good. However, you also know me too. Like when I'm in my house, I take my fucking bra off because I hate them and I just slap my dressing gown on. But that's because I know
It's hilarious.
no one's coming over.
No, when I have been to your house and I turn up and she's there in her slippers and a dressing gown and just like, or like track pants or whatever.
Matching track pants, by the way.
Perfectly made.
Yeah.
Hair, glamour face, perfectly made. In a bloody dressing gown and slippers. And I'm like...
Designer trackies too.
Yeah, I'm a Calvin Klein's girl.
But what it's funny is
I can't help it. It's just my thing. I like matching things. It's not often,
actually.
I do, don't I? Like I couldn't slouch around in mismatched tracksuit set. Like, God forbid I did have to leave the house or somebody did come over. Like, what if the creek man came and knocked on my fucking door and I was in mismatched track pants? I'd be beside myself. Oh, no. I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's something that I've just always done.
And that's you.
But my mum's very like that too. Like my mother, you know, always, excuse me, my mother's always very glam.
Yeah.
Hair, makeup, nails, clothes. And that's what I've always just grown up
and you
with.
probably find that Moni will grow up to like doing that as well.
Yeah, probably.
She very much does.
Yeah.
My children make more of an effort in their appearance than I do. Matilda is like, she's now getting into makeup a little bit as well. But I don't want to buy her any of like the cheap stuff that might irritate them, you know, their skin or their eyes. So she likes to use mine. So I have like dig finger marks out of my eyeshadow. She has like squishes the lipstick on, so it like goes and it's like splattered out. I'm like, another bloody lipstick. And we've had makeup brushes falling down the toilet, everything. So when your kids start getting into makeup, it's like rather stressful.
I remember the makeup disaster at my house with the makeup all over the floor, the bed, the fucking carpet.
Like, right, kids,
everywhere.
See,
like
Sarah?
everywhere. It was a disaster.
all over the bed, the carpet, walls,
the staircase,
everything.
and I'm like, makeup is banned.
Yeah, we banned makeup. But yeah, Matilda gets up and she wants to, you know, and if we go anywhere, I'm like, no, makeup's only for the house for you to play with. You know, it's dress up. When you're dressing up and things, I don't let them wear it out. But she gets up in the morning and she likes to put her dresses on. She does a few different outfit changes and they're putting things in the hair. And that's like every day. That's like every day. And I'm like there, I'm like, where has this come from? Because there's me and my trackies and my hair all over the place. I'm thinking, I should probably put some jeans on to take them to school.
Hey, I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
Because you both have the dads involved in your children's lives. With your rules for the kids, are they the same on both sides?
That's really actually a very good question. Do you want to go or do you want me to go?
I think so. It's we're different, and I think the hard thing for us was in the beginning, because of the lack, like no communication between us in the beginning. It was really kind of hard to police that. But they only go to him sort of like the one overnight a week, so it's not too bad. But what we were finding is they would come back, and for the first 2 days that they came back, the behavioural change was. It was quite very different, and it was a couple of days of them resettling back into this is how we do things here. And I think because they go to the dads and they only because he's got them that shorter time, you know, he doesn't want to spend the time telling them off. And I mean, I'm sure he does. I'm sure he puts his boundaries in place. He's he is good with that stuff, but you know, I can imagine it's that time's a little bit more precious, whereas they come to me and it's like you have to have those boundaries in place on a day-to-day.
Yeah.
Otherwise, things just get out of hand and you have to set them and live within those realms just to keep life flowing and life ticking. So that was really hard. But we used to have a book before we were actually able to communicate between us. We had this book and I would write in the book different things that were going on throughout the kids' week and different behavioural stuff or different emotional stuff, things that they were saying to me about things. And I would write it in a book and it would go in their bag to the dads with them, so he could read them and he could write stuff, and we kept it about the kids. It wasn't to each other, and he would write anything he needed to for points for me, so it would keep us informed. But now, I mean, communication's opened up a lot more, and like I say, I've got a great communication, a great relationship with their dad's mother, their grandmother, and she will often ask me, so how are you doing? this, and I'm finding this. What do you do about it? So so now she goes, okay, well, we'll try and do that because we're doing it differently here. But there's always going to be that difference, and the kids just have to learn. And I'm big on telling my children, if you're in somebody's home, it's their rules. Like my mother, who's Glammy, when they go to Glammy's, it's Glammy's rules. You're at Glammy's, it's Glammy's rules.
Yeah.
You go to Daddy's, it's Daddy's rules. This household, it's these rules. And they're just learning to go with that, whoever's property you're at.
Mm-hmm. Well, see, with me, I'm actually really grateful because Ali would just, stick to what I was doing with Monroe. So there was no confusion. I mean, obviously he has different rules as well in his home, but anything to do with whether it was around food, because she's so hypersensitive to sugar. So I really watch her sugar intake. She's actually terrible. Like, she reacts really badly. So I've kind of banned my mother and anyone giving her, and then she gets in trouble, and it's not fair. So around everything like that, he's actually really good, and he totally respects what I say when it comes to, at the end of the day, it's beneficial for Monroe, because it's the same. Yeah. And it's the same sort of,
and you're backing each other up.
Exactly. So, and we've spoken about that from the very beginning, and
that's awesome.
And we do. And if he says something to me about something, then we just talk about things. We've been pretty. It's been pretty good right from the get-go. I mean, obviously, there's been some difficult times and some not so nice moments between our relationship. However, but when we greet each other, it's still, hi, how are you? It's to make the changeover comfortable for Moni, that she doesn't sense something like,
and
Mum
they pick
Dad
up on energy.
Or...
And that's why when myself and their dad weren't in a great space between us, I prefer to not exchange, because even if we're still trying to play poker face, they pick up on it. And, even it only takes a comment or a body language. And
it's the vibrating energy.
I want them to, so now, we do meet sometimes to swap if, I can't, the grandmother or whatever. And it's nice and we keep it pleasant. And hi, how are you? And, we talk to the kids a lot and, exchange, and we keep it quick and cheerful and... but they do pick up on that energy.
Oh, yeah. Monroe's very intuitive, as much as, we will try our best. I mean, obviously it's been a struggle sometimes, like we don't have a third person to kind of, help that, do the swap over that sort of time, when it has been quite difficult. So we've just managed to do it ourselves, and I mean...
And you're doing a good job.
You're doing an amazing job.
Oh, thank you.
You guys are doing an amazing job.
I think we are, because she's a freaking amazing...
She's a gorgeous little girl, and she's a credit to you. Oh, a gorgeous little girl. Yeah.
So are you. So are you.
Renate, I've got one for you. So, because you are on your own, and there's 5 of you, and you've got to do everything you've got to do, which is, whether it's work, training... And even just keeping a household tidy with children is almost like a full-time job in itself. It's like you go into one room while the other one's being whirlwind trashed, and then the other one, and I don't know what it is. I feel like I live in the kitchen. Food preparation, clean, food preparation, clean. It seems to be never ending. How have you found it trying to do that yourself with 5? Do you have to now, did you find yourself needing more support from the older ones than maybe you would have if you weren't on your own?
Okay, yeah, that's a good question. Right from the scratch, because from my past as a child, I was put in that situation of having to look after my younger siblings quite from a young age. So I never wanted my older kids to go through that. So I, gave them their own things they had to do, like clean their rooms. Every week they had to take the sheets off, clean their rooms, dust, vacuum. That was their responsibility, and anything else they could help out with as a normal sort of helping out around the house.
Awesome.
But I never gave them that responsibility to fill in for what was missing. Okay, no, they needed to sort of carry on being kids, because I did not want them to grow up with too much responsibility, because you lose your childhood. And I know that because that's what happened to me. And I didn't mind sort of doing, a bit, all the extra bits in order to have them,
So you just took it all on?
Yeah, for sure. Wow, and it's I don't think I struggled that much. I kind of just found my place, and you find a routine, and most of the time you stick to it. And if you don't, you just not got to be too hard on yourself.
Well, it was that thing that we were saying when, a lot of people will say to us, and I've had this a heck of a lot over time, how do you do it? especially when I was on my own for so long before Robert came into the picture, because he's incredible. He's very supportive. I'm very lucky. I have a lot of support with him. But for a long time, it was just myself, and they were so little, and it was really, really tough. But people would go to you, I don't know how you do it. How do you do it? And we were saying, you get that all the time. How do you do it? But the thing is, you just do.
Well, you've got a choice.
Imagine going to the supermarket with 5 children.
You don't even think
What did you
about
do?
it.
Did you pack 5 kids in a car and go to the supermarket with 5 children?
Yeah. Well, what else am I going to do? But I gave them little jobs to do. You know, but with that question, how do you do it? I say to people, my answer is, okay, well, you have a choice. You can either do it with a smile on your face and the best that you can, or you can be miserable about it. But I know which works out better.
Either way, you got to do it.
Yeah, either way, you have to do it. So it's your choice of how you deal with it, really. Yeah. That's what makes it hard or easy.
Yeah, that's so true.
It's your reaction to it and how you deal with it.
Yeah. Did you have much of a support group, like friends, like a best friend or a group of friends that you could just turn to, just go, please just come and fucking help and look after them for an hour? I need some.
No, the only time I did was
space.
when one of them ended up in Starship for a month. That's when I had to really, because I don't ask for help either, so that's my fault. So there probably would have been a lot more support from the outside if I had asked for it. But because I never did, they thought I'd be fine.
Okay.
Don't you find as mothers though, and this is a trait of mine that a lot of people that I've actually had to work on. I am terrible at accepting help, but even worse at asking for it. I will never ever ask for help.
Same.
And it's this thing that we need to do it ourselves. We have to do it ourselves.
Supermum, appear to be perfect.
Super mum, super dad, all that. Yeah. Why?
Do men feel that same pressure?
Why?
Do
I
men?
wonder.
Do you think men feel
I'm pretty
that
sure the
same
ones
pressure?
that are fully single with their kids, they probably do as well. I'd say so.
Do men feel that pressure?
Would genuinely really like to know. It's a really good question, because we as women find it very difficult asking and receiving, like you say. I mean, if somebody gives you help, you feel like you owe them, and then you've got to do something to reciprocate. You know what I mean?
I don't like that feeling of
Owing
like you
someone.
owe people.
No.
Yeah.
I don't like feeling owing people. And the other thing as well, I think after the separation, and I was completely on my own, it was like, it's almost like I had to prove I was okay and I could do it.
Yeah.
You know, and I've always been so close with the girls anyway, and I always did a lot with the children. That was the thing as well. So, you know, I would sacrifice the state of the house to sit and do, like I say, like science experiments and crafts and things all day. I was always researching new activities to get involved, and I was big on doing all the classes about sensory and development, and my energy went into there. And then all of a sudden it was like completely on my own. It was like, you didn't have anyone, because they were so little, to entertain them, so I could cook dinner.
Yeah.
And it was like, how do I balance? And then, you know, and then I was finding my house was getting out of control, and I'm like, how is this getting this messy? Like, how? You know, and then people would come over and start cleaning up for me. I'm going, please don't tidy up. And I was so embarrassed that they were tidying up. I'm like, please don't, I'll do it. And then I felt shamed, and I'd put the kids to bed, and I'd be up till 1 a.m. cleaning my house. And, you know, it's just that feeling, that shame that you're failing in some way. Yeah. If someone tries to help you, is it because you think I'm failing? And it's that, you know, you want to be able to do everything, but you physically can't.
No, and you can't. Like, I mean, with Monroe, because I have massive OCD when it comes to cleaning. Like, I struggled so badly with Moni as when she was starting moving around and fucking throwing shit out of here and making a mess. I was just like a little Hoover after her, picking up and putting everything away, to the point I just burnt myself out. And
I
like,
used to do that too.
Stop. So I kind of made a thing where this is playtime. She can play as much as I'm gritting my teeth because there's shit all over the goddamn floor.
You're such a clean freak.
I'm so OCD, and I'll be sitting there and I couldn't enjoy myself because I'm sitting there going, I can't sit and mess. If there's mess or if there's dishes or there's something to do, I can't sit and relax. It just plays in my brain. I can't enjoy the moment. I've got to go do it.
Yeah.
And then I can enjoy it. So I'd be sitting with Monroe, and then she'd be wanting to go on the next thing, and I'm like, okay. You know, and I had to learn that to pick up after her only once or twice a day instead of multiple times a day, because I just burnt myself out. And everyone's like,
I was guilty
sit the
of that.
fuck down. And people come over and I'm busy zooming around doing this. But I did get a cleaner for when I lived out west in Kumeu. We lived out there for about 5 months, and I got a cleaner for about 4 months. Every week, even though I still did my cleaning, I vacuumed every single day, and I still kept the house clean.
See, I'm the person that would clean before my cleaner came because I'd be embarrassed. I'd be like, let me just quick. I'll be like, the cleaner's coming, let's clean. Because Robert and I are talking now just to take some pressure off me with doing this and everything with the kids. And, you know, he said, look, he's like, Vic, once again, you're going back into trying to do everything. Because even when Robert does things, I'm like, no, this is what he gets annoyed with. Because I'm like, no, I'll do it. Don't you do it. Because I'm feeling like I'm letting us down. So I'm like, I will do it. And he goes, but you won't. He goes, no. I'm like, yes, I will, but I will. And so he'll let me say that, and then I don't get round to it. And he had to have a conversation with me, and it's like, Vic, it's not that, you know, I don't mind doing it. When I'm doing it, it's not because you're not doing it. I'm happy to do it. What bothers me is when you're trying to take it all on and saying you're going to do these things, but you physically can't because you cannot do everything.
And you are bad with that.
I'm so bad.
I do.
Because in my mind, I want to be able to do everything, and I want to be able to, you know, keep everything in order and take the pressure off him because he's working so damn hard. And, you know, I don't want him to have to do things. So, you know, my heart's in the right place, but the energy levels and physically being here, there and everywhere just don't match. And it's just sort of that following through that's I struggle with.
It's good that you have a backup. That's what I miss with bringing up the kids. One thing that I missed is having, like, when you tell them something to do something, try and challenge you, is having that person behind you going, listen to your mum, do as you're told. Not having just that little voice makes such a big difference, and it makes it a lot more challenging because you do have to push harder and repeat yourself 100,000 times, and you know, and that's what can be exhausting. I've given in a lot. And then you have the kids going, why did you let them get away with it? But when I do it, you know, and you know, and it's like I've had to explain. Well, you know, sometimes honestly, if you don't listen the first time, it gets tiring. If you guys actually just listened the first time.
But then they've learned that, so they know the more the wear you down.
Yeah, but they're also learning that if they listen straight away, mum doesn't have to get so exhausted and repeat herself. So they are learning as well because I've repetitively told them, you know, and explained to them why some might get away with something and the other I will follow through with a punishment or consequence or whatever. So and then they learn about making the right choices as they go along as well. Like, hang on, if I don't listen to mum, this could happen, and the other person might get away. I don't want them to get away with something. You know? Yeah.
And what was that? You know, that saying they talk about, which is apparently the wrong thing to do. You know, that whole wait till your dad comes home. You shouldn't do that because it's not fair on the father.
It puts a lot of pressure on the dad.
It puts a lot of pressure, and then he's the bad cop kind of thing. Wait till your father gets home. They say don't do that. I am a shocker for it because sometimes with the girls, it gets so like, and you've got two of them ganging up on you, and you're just like, oh, they're so smart, and you just, you know, they wear you down. It gets to the end of the day, you're exhausted, and I quite often come out with, well, Robert will be home any minute. Do you think he's going to be happy that there's mess all over the place? Because Robert's quite strict with things like that. You know, he's like...
You guys have a really good routine.
Oh, we do.
And regime, you guys.
You know, and I'm shocking at following through, and Robert's really good. Like, he does it in such a loving way as well. Like, the girls just respect him, and it's not like a fear thing. It's just they respect him, and he's got his boundaries. And so because his boundaries are firmly in place and mine are wavering, depending on how tired I am or how much they wear you down, because they don't argue with him the same. They just do it, whereas with me, they me because they know they can.
And try and negotiate.
So yeah, I'm very much like, wow, do I need to get Robert? Do you think Robert will be happy with this? They're like, oh, okay, we'll do it. I'm like, he's on his way, he's not on his way, but I'm the worst.
The threat is there. The threat is there.
Yeah, however it works,
However it works. And that sometimes it is. Yeah. Sometimes, you know, we think about, like, again, it's going back to how we would like to parent. Sometimes it is just survival. It's, you know, we can't be perfect. You know, we can't be... Our kids are amazing and they're all incredible children. They are a credit to us, and they're going to turn out okay, I'm sure. We're not, you know, unless you're doing something really terribly wrong, there's so much pressure to be the perfect parent all the time. You know,
it's just not reality. It's not sustainable.
Not reality.
You can't sustain it without burning yourself out and ending up in a really bad place. No. And, you know, we need to, you know, and that's something I've had to learn too, because I do like everything perfect. I like my house perfect. I like, you know, my hair and makeup and everything perfect. And I like things being perfect. And when it's not, I do get kind of irritable or angry. But it is something that I've had to learn to really let go of, because I just stress myself out and cause myself anxiety because things aren't perfect. Well, fuck, you know what? Shit isn't perfect, and life isn't perfect, and relationships aren't perfect, and we're never going to be perfect, you know. And
what is perfect? Because everyone's got a different opinion.
What the fuck is perfect?
This book on parenting says one thing. This book on parenting says another. This person's opinion says this. This has got another opinion on how you should do things.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
what is it?
You know, we just sort of. And I think every child's different. I actually, you know, some people may not see this as right, but I do parent slightly different to each child, because each child responds very differently to something. Different love languages, And it's not like I treat them differently. It's a very different situation. I don't treat them differently, but I do parent them differently to their needs, and every child is different.
Yeah, I've got 5 of those that are different. They're all, there's
got
not
all the
2 of them.
Personalities going on.
Yeah, they've all got different personalities,
And I think that's actually a really good point, because I think a lot of adults, a lot of parents don't actually understand that this is an actual human being. She or he has her own feelings, her own emotions, her own love language, and her own thoughts. But people say, oh, you're just a kid. You just do as I say and do what I say. And da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
It's all relative.
But it's like, no, that doesn't work that way. They're human. They're like us. They have their own feelings like we do.
In their world, to us, because we've got all our adult troubles or whatever, so to us, something big is something big in our world, but we don't understand that something that's small to us in their world is just as big for them.
Of course. Absolutely. And then when they get silenced or shut down, they're learning to sort of keep things inside, and that's how you start forming that, and that's dangerous. They have to know they can express themselves, but they, you know, will also learn boundaries and choices. But there's nothing worse, I think, than telling somebody to, oh no, don't cry because you're not hurt, you're fine, you know.
I don't like that,
you know, stuff like that.
And I used to get told to do that from extended family. Used to say that all the time as well, like when they hurt themselves, just don't give them the attention and they'll be fine. And I didn't like that. I was like, I know my children and they're not wimps, and if they're fine, they'll get up and carry on. If they're not fine, they'll come to me, and absolutely, if my child ever asks me for comfort, and even if they're not hurt, even if for whatever reason something in them made them feel like they needed comfort from me, you know, and if they want to be like, and they want to come up to me and cry and say, Mummy, I need a cuddle, you are well and truly getting that cuddle. Whatever 100%. It is you need from me right now, you can have. And it's not like we made a song and dance and drama about it. But, you know, if my child's hurt, I will always, and even before they respond, I will go up to them and say, are you okay? And people used to put me down for doing that. They said, oh, just leave them, they're fine. I said, well, I would like to go and ask my child if they're fine, if they're okay.
She's a human being. She's got her own feelings. Maybe she's not okay. Or maybe, like with Monroe, she gets really embarrassed. Oh, God. If she falls over in front of somebody, and I have this really bad trait of laughing. Anybody who falls over and hurts themselves, you fall over me, I'm going to laugh before I'm going to ask if you're okay. It's this reaction. I will burst out laughing, and while I'm asking you if you're okay, I'm laughing hysterically. I'll be crying. I can't help it. It's just this thing. I don't care if even if she's 90 years of age, I'm going to laugh before I'm going to ask if she's okay. It's awful. And I just go, oh, this is so sorry, ha, ha, ha. And I do that with Moni. And she gets really wound up by me. She's like, Mummy, stop laughing at me. And I'm like, oh, honey, I'm laughing. I'm not laughing at you. I'm sorry. It's just, Mummy, I don't know what it is. It's just this reaction. Yeah. And I'm trying to get her to understand that I'm not laughing at you. I am just laughing because it's just what I do.
Now we know why Moni gets really embarrassed when she's falls.
And then she'll run away and hide until she's not embarrassed anymore. And then I have to try and explain to her, sweetheart, it is the same thing. Like if somebody's having an argument or trying to tell me off, I would always laugh. Like if I'm in a relationship and someone's telling me off, like
I do that nervous laughter sometimes.
I laugh because I've
nervous
never
reaction.
It's it's a nervous reaction, and it's just.
It's not always appropriate though, isn't it?
It's very inappropriate. I'm very inappropriate.
When I've wound Robert up with the amount of times, and he'd be like really quite passionately telling me something, and I start laughing,
and then they get shitty.
And he's just like, "What is funny? This is not funny. Really insensitive." But I'm just like. this is not funny. This is not funny. And I'm not laughing. Like, it's not because of this and it's not funny. He goes, no, you're right. It's not funny. And I'm like,
I don't know what, it's just a thing. It's just a thing. But yeah. And you know, and I respect that. And then I've got to go out back and just go, look, this is mummy, you know, and explain to her why I laugh or anything like that. But come on, it just looks fucking funny. When people fall over and trip over, I laugh at myself as well. If I fucking bail.
Well, if you can't laugh
I'm
at
gonna
yourself.
you can't laugh at yourself. What have you got?
Yeah, exactly. You know, so I don't know. But
It shows you how different all parenting and being a single parent, it bring different things into each other's lives and things as well, eh? We're all in a different sort of situation.
It'd be good to actually hear about different people's dynamics. It'd actually be really nice to get someone on the show, maybe a solo father or something, and hear their point of views and how they dealing with with
do they have the same kind of pressures and expectations from people around, or are people more receptive to them because they are a male looking after a child? You know what I mean?
Actually.
that is true, because it's expected of the mother, but not really expected of the father. And do they get more help because they're a single dad?
Do people like reach out more because, you know, I'm quite curious.
Do we have any solo fathers out there that would be keen to write into us? Because we'd love to hear from you.
Yes, we would. We will leave our email address.
Or even leave comments.
Yeah, I think that'd be really nice. And any other single parents out there that just want to share their story, we will read them out or whatever we can. And but it'd be nice for us to know, you know.
Yeah.
Perfect. Lovely. Well, we're done.
Stay safe,
We're
everyone.
done. Absolutely.
Be
Love
kind.
you.
Love from Sarah, myself, Victoria, and Renate.